There are growing concerns this morning of an all-out war in the Middle East after high-level ceasefire and hostage talks over the Israel-Hamas war ended without an agreement. Lower-level negotiations are coming, but as the Lebanese terror group Hezbollah trades heavy fire with Israel, there are fears time is running out. Fox News national correspondent Jeff Paul reports from Tel Aviv, Israel.
It was a moment weeks in the making. Israel ordering preemptive airstrikes in Lebanon after intelligence revealed a massive attack from Hezbollah was imminent. Moments later, air raid sirens in northern Israel, with Hezbollah launching hundreds of drones and rockets. Israel says 100 fighter jets destroyed nearly all of what the Iranian-backed group was about to fire, with the Iron Dome taking out the bulk of what was launched.
We are very determined to continue degrading Hezbollah's capabilities, eliminating more commanders, and denying them assets and capabilities. We are not stopping.
3 Hezbollah militants were killed, as was 1 Israeli soldier, but it appears the situation between both sides has eased. During a televised address, Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah said if the results of the operation in retaliation for the killing of a top commander were satisfactory, they were done. But he warned there could be more attacks while downplaying Israel's strike.
What happened was an aggression, not a preemptive action.
The clash with Hezbollah comes as Israel and Hamas remain at odds over a ceasefire deal. Talks ended in Cairo, Egypt without an agreement, but low-level negotiations will continue. The White House remains hopeful mediators can bridge remaining gaps.
What I believe now is that it is incumbent on all parties in the region to work towards de-escalation and stability.
Despite the apparent easing of tensions, the U.S. Navy still has a heavy presence in the region. At least 17 warships and 1 submarine are currently stationed in the Middle East, sending a strong message of deterrence to Iran and its proxies. In Tel Aviv, Israel, Jeff Paul, Fox News.
Jeff, thank you so much for that detailed report. And joining us live this morning to further discuss this breaking news alert is Ruthie Blum, a former advisor to the office of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Ruthie, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
A pleasure to have you. So a lot to dissect from that report, correct? This morning, people are on edge wondering if that all-out war is imminent. How do we get to this point? I feel like you're the best person to ask. You've pretty much lived this in everyday life.
Yes, well, I will say that there is an all-out war informally, not declared, already going on. Since October 7th, when the Hamas terrorist organization invaded Israel and slaughtered 1,200 people and kidnapped 250 others. And the following day, Hezbollah from Lebanon, both of these, by the way, Iranian proxies, and Hezbollah in Lebanon joined in the attacks. And then the Houthis from Yemen, another Iranian proxy, also started sending drones into Israel. The point is that there is already a war going on, and Israelis feel it, particularly those living in northern Israel and southern Israel. Rocket attacks have not ceased. So there's this false notion that somehow the negotiations for hostage release and ceasefire, once they're settled, that will settle the whole thing and there'll be stability. That's nonsense. First of all, the discussions are nonsense because Hamas is not participating in them. And second of all, the only condition Hamas wants is to remain in power in Gaza. And we cannot cease any kind of ceasefire we cannot have until Hamas's capabilities are completely destroyed and we get our hostages freed. So, as I said, we're actually experiencing the war that everyone is talking about has to be avoided.
Very interesting points you're making, Ruthie, and I thoroughly appreciate your candidness. You mentioned the ceasefire talks are pretty much a waste of time, right? We've seen these meetings happen out in Cairo, Egypt. We've seen U.S. representatives fly over, right, to assist. And then there was even a lot of pressure on Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for that post-war plan, right? But with what you're saying, do you think that's why there's a little holdout on it? Because if we're being frank, these talks with Hamas, these are talks with a terroristic organization. How can you really trust what they're going to say in the first place?
Well, you absolutely can't trust it, even if they were to agree to certain conditions that Israel has set. You can't trust it. Listen, Hezbollah in Lebanon, just if we're talking about trust, Hezbollah in Lebanon, there was a ceasefire agreement in 2006, UN Resolution 1701, according to which there was a fire-free zone in southern Lebanon, and that UNIFIL troops would enforce it. Well, it never happened, not for a single day. All Hezbollah did was amass more weapons, more rockets and missiles, and the UNIFIL troops absconded. Same thing with Hamas in Gaza. We had what you'd call a ceasefire in Gaza up until October 6th. It's Hamas that violated it. And the other thing, it's a misnomer to call these ceasefire talks. Our idea was to have a pause in the fighting in order to get back our hostages, not in order to give Hamas a free pass to commit the atrocities of October 7th again and again and again, as it has vowed to do.
Great explanation there, Ruthie. So I want to ask you, if any, what is the solution? Because it seems like as soon as leeway is being made with Israel and Hamas, then conflict with Hezbollah ramps up. When you think that there's something going for a solution there, then conflict with Iran ramps up. It seems like there are so many moving parts and so many issues with Israel from all of these different terroristic organizations. It's like you don't see a solution in sight.
No, but the actual solution is for Israel to remain strong, to emerge victorious, and to show the enemy that we're not going anywhere and that we mean business. And when we do that, we saw in 2020 that the Abraham Accords were signed as a result of our strength and our determination and our strong economy and various other reasons, and our anti-Iran stance. And those peace deals, which were wonderful, they were only made as a result of Israeli strength. And I think we have to remember that lesson and not succumb to a Western notion. And I have to say, especially in the Biden administration, the notion that appeasement and diplomacy are the solutions to dealing with terrorists and enemies of the West and enemies of Israel.
You mentioned the Biden administration, and if we look back in recent weeks, we know the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu actually traveled here to the U.S. and he met with the Biden administration, but he also met with former President Trump. Does Netanyahu feel like the Biden administration is doing enough to aid in this fight?
Well, you know, I cannot speak for Prime Minister Netanyahu. What I can do is tell you what he says. And he has said consistently since October 7th that he's grateful to the Biden administration for all the help it has given and continues to give. Having said that, at one point, he really had to, I wouldn't say reprimand, but release a strong statement about the Biden administration's withholding of important weapons we needed. And I have to tell you, had the Biden administration not tied our hands all along the last few months, saying, now don't go into Rafah, don't go here, don't kill too many civilians, you know, tied our hands, I think we would have won this war a while ago, and we might have even been able to rescue all the hostages. These waiting periods, this constant need to placate the powers that be in Washington really set us back and encouraged Iran, by the way.
Ruthie, I know this next question might be emotional, but I want to ask you about the hope that Israelis are holding on to for those remaining hostages to be brought home. I know at this hour, still several hostages still in Hamas captivity. And I know the fighting continues. Innocent people on all sides of this conflict are dying and they are demanding answers. Are people hopeful still, or do you think people have given up, considering, you know, as you mentioned at the beginning of this interview, they keep hearing the word ceasefire, knowing that the fighting can't stop anytime soon?
Right, and especially since Hamas didn't propose a deal according to which it returns all the 109 hostages and then we cease fire. Had that been on offer, it's possible that Israelis would say, just take the deal, okay? This is not on the table. Hamas has no interest in it. Hamas has agreed to maybe returning a few of the hostages. The hostages are Hamas's leverage, okay? But I would say Israelis all harbor hope, either to rescue them or to get them freed, or the hope has not died at all. It's just that the families and the whole country actually is devastated on their behalf. Now, you mentioned the suffering in Gaza. There are Palestinians being killed, of course. Here's the thing. Every single death in Gaza is on Hamas's hands. Hamas uses its population as human shields. It stores rocket launchers under babies' cribs, under UN facilities, in mosques, in schools, and it does it on purpose so that in the event that we need to target a weapon, you know, a rocket launcher, for example, then we will likely hit civilians. But no army in the history of warfare has taken such care as we have to avoid civilian casualties, and the ratio of civilian to combatant deaths is about 1 to 1. It's the lowest in the history of warfare.
Ruthie Blum, truly a pleasure to speak with you on this tense conversation. I appreciate your candidness and the emotion you conveyed to the viewers to get your point across. We definitely appreciate it. Before I let you go, anything else you'd like to add? Anything myself and the viewers need to be keeping a watchful eye for in the coming hours or even days?
Yes, I would say that the viewers have to be careful about not mixing in the electoral politics going on in America and in Israel, by the way, though we are not in an election year. You might think so, given the demonstrations and many Israelis saying we need new elections. But actually, there is an election about to take place in the United States. And I think a lot of the discussions here are getting entangled in that race. And I think that's dangerous.
It definitely can be dangerous, but hey, we appreciate you joining us to provide that perspective and to give us the facts. Thank you so much for joining us bright and early on this Tuesday morning, Ruthie. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and, of course, be safe.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.